You have reached Professor Upsidasium's Physiotronic Audiographic Steampunk Archive, collecting images and sounds from DragonCon 2012. In this transmission, director Mike Zawacki and actress Stevie Robinson from The Wars of Other Men. Hello, I am here with the director and one of the actresses from the film
The Wars of Other Men.
The Wars of Other Men. And this is director
Mike Zawacki.
And Miss
Stevie Robinson.
And you directed, and you were a sharpshooter in the movie.
Yes.
And let's back this up a little bit for people who may not have seen The Wars of Other Men, which, by the way, I reviewed for Steampunk Chronicle. So if you go to steampunkchronicle.com and look under reviews and movies, you should find that review there. And spoiler, I loved it. Okay. Mike, how did you get the project Wars? Oh, tell us a little bit of Wars of Other Men, the elevator speech.
Okay. The Wars of Other Men is basic. It's a short film, around 26 minutes. It is set in a past that never was. It tells the story of an unnamed lieutenant who's fighting in an army that is verging on defeat, and the army that he serves is being crushed by the new enemy superweapon called the Fog. And the film centers around his being tasked with going to get the source of the fog and the moral dilemmas that he faces along the way as he moves through this wasted, ruined city that everybody's fighting over and for and through.
And it's not just that he has to go into this ruined city with enemy forces all around it and patrolling and airships and other great special effects hunting him down. It's that there's only a 4 or 5 man squad.
Yes, yeah.
And on this very limited, this is the classic adventure story, the underdog squad of specialists going in to take out the big bad evil in the center of the evil kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a suicide mission.
It is a suicide mission. How did you start with Wars of Other Men? How did you get that?
Well, I've been interested in steampunk and its derivative subcultures like diesel punk for a long time. I've also been keenly interested in World War II history, and in particular the Battle of Stalingrad. So in coming up with a project to do, I thought, well, we've got this ruined city, Detroit, that looks very similar actually to Stalingrad architecturally in a lot of places. Why don't we make a steampunk, diesel punk war film that's set in the city?
Wars of Other Men does follow more of a diesel punk vibe than a steampunk vibe, but you will see in a lot of the visual elements a natural evolution from very steampunk rote items such as the fashion and the airships and such, leading into the more industrial diesel punk war setting. So in that way, it's very contiguous with the entire steampunk genre. Now, your character, you're a sharpshooter of the group. Can you tell me about
Private Kavanaugh?
Private Kavanaugh?
Yes. Well, I'm the sharpshooter of the group. I'm also the only female in the squad. And I basically am, I guess, more of a quiet observer in the group. I have a little bit of camaraderie with a couple of the other guys, and there's also there's kind of a young guy that's kind of a new kid that I take under my wing a little bit, mm-hmm. and I just sort of am there to do my job, and I'm good at it. So
you're very good at your job. You're very good at the job. A lot of the movie is the troops moving closer and closer, and the lieutenant, who does not get a name very purposefully in this, he is not very sharing at first about what the goals are, and as the movie pieces together, it becomes more apparent, I think, to your character and everybody else that your odds are not great.
It sort of dawns on us, but we trust, the whole squad trusts the lieutenant and respects him so fully. He's a really great, very deep character,
yes.
Which I really like. I think he's really well written, actually. And well played. Really well played by Scott Norman. Yeah. So.
Scott Norman.
That's the actor that plays the lieutenant.
Who were the other actors?
There was Johnny Victor, who was Corporal McCrae, who was sort of the lieutenant's right-hand man. Yep, and then there was also Iger, who was sort of the more bitter, acerbic kind of team member. Mm-hmm. And he, of all of them, Iger and Kavanaugh and McCrae all have a history of the lieutenant, and then there's Kilpatrick, who is the new guy.
The new
the
kid.
apple-cheeked youth.
Played by our apple-cheeked Tommy Beardmore.
Yes.
So,
The ironically last name Beardmore.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
When you were approaching the role of Kevna, did you think of any backstory for her? I mean, each of you get a moment to talk about the lieutenant and how he did various things for you. But did you personally have a backstory that you?
Actually, Mitch, who plays Iger, and I, we did do a little bit of work outside of what was scripted. We did just to build a rapport with each other. So we did, we sort of worked on a little bit of backstory for previous battles, and then also what was really neat was we had an opportunity to go and train with the weaponry that we used. We went out to a driving range. We had actually one of the other actors who played one of the bad guys.
Keith Dean, yeah.
He had a lot of experience with it, and we got to go shoot real Nagant rifles from World War I, and really cool.
Period correct firearms, Mausers and Garands.
Because you handle your weapons, it pays off for the movie. Because
Yes.
you have a sense of confidence handling your weapons.
And it really helped, just having that experience really helps you get in character and really believe what you're doing.
We did a lot of, we did phone conversations. I did phone conversations with all the actors separately. And then we also did conversations face-to-face separately. And then also then, again, in groups with the various, the soldiers, the officers, just to kind of try and build an emotional bed that they could lay their performances in.
Right.
So, and I think the shooting was part of that as well.
Okay.
It was like team building.
It was very much like team building.
Now, you were talking about the pre-production, putting things together. Talk a little bit about that, because what a lot of people don't know is you had no budget. You were shooting in found hours, in found places, with found equipment a lot of times.
Yeah, we had a very small budget. Most of it we did for everything was the uniforms were things that we had lying around, or we spent a couple $100 on a big order of just Western Bloc or Eastern Bloc surplus clothing, and we just adapted everything that we could, beg, borrow, steal. We had a good team, so I think that paid off.
How many cameras were you able to get for this to use?
Mostly we were shooting with one. I think for one sequence when we were in the tunnel, we had 2 cameras, but for the most part it was a 1-camera shoot.
You have a lot of integrated special effects, which I am going to ask you about in a minute here, because you had the in front of the camera enjoyment of dealing with that, and you had the behind the camera. So behind the camera, what software, how did you go with the special effects?
We had, first we had one fellow, Kevin Capizzi, who rapidly got horribly overworked. Poor Kevin. But did amazing work. It was mostly, I think, Cinema 4D, After Effects for compositing, things like that.
Okay.
And it was, in the end, I think there were 4 or 5 different people who were working on the visual effects, either the Zeppelins or the explosions or removing graffiti from the buildings and things like that to make it look a little more period correct.
Okay. That is a great thing to know. There's a number of times when the crew is running through what looks like a blasted out industrial area full of brick walls, and that was originally had a lot of graffiti on it because this is a Detroit, you said? Yes. Downtown Detroit destroyed area. And your special effects crew had to take out all of that and scrub the walls digitally.
Well, we did some physically,
some was on site.
Oh,
Up until right when we were about to do a take.
Well, it was. I know it sounds weird, but I actually didn't want to take away the graffiti. I kind of wanted to leave it as it was. So we would do things like make a mash of tempera paint and ashes and just smear it across the walls to make it look burnt, or we'd pile debris in front of stuff. And then what we couldn't do that or frame around, we digitally removed.
did you have problems coming back the next weekend and finding new additions to the graffiti? Graffiti Guy's Revenge.
No, we rarely went back to many locations more than once. I think with one exception, the Packard plant. We went back there a few times. We generally weren't in the same area of the Packard plant more than once.
Like you said, it was a lot of found hours, so it was like we had a job to do, and that's which was always kind of nice. We've all worked together quite a bit. For the majority of us, have all worked together, and we go in there and we know what to do, and we know what needs to be done. We try to come in real prepared, so so there's no graffiti continuity.
Yes, errors.
So,
I can imagine that'd be a big challenge for a small crew to put that together. You worked in front of, you had things like the fog, which is the big menace of the movie. It's a lot of the tension because you're not only trying to get rid of it, in part you're whipping on gas masks and pushing yourself against the wall. Talk about the fog. How did you work out with your castmates the continuity of how you were all going to behave with the special effects?
well, talking about, like I said, talking about it and coming in prepared is a big part of it. And also, I really have to give Mike a lot of credit for that. He's a great director, and he will, he's very good at communicating, like, just simple things like you're looking the wrong way.
Stop ruining the shot! Mark of a good director.
There was not only the squad, you have your unnamed lieutenant. The unnamed lieutenant has two unnamed superiors.
They're named.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One of them is named.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are?
Oh, there was Captain Doherty and Lieutenant Colonel Genevieve Farben.
Okay.
And Captain Doherty is very much sort of the straight-laced career, probably worked his way up from a grunt kind of an officer. And Lieutenant Colonel Genevieve Farben is more, I guess, sort of a spy master. She's, very devious and immoral, and ruthless and efficient. So those were the two his two foils from above.
In case you're wondering, that sound you're hearing is a band called This Way to Egress, and we are one thin wall away from them as they're playing outside the Gadgeteers Showcase at DragonCon 2012. So thank you, This Way to Egress, for providing a soundtrack. I'll be checking in with you later for the rights to the music.
Hi, I'm Tyrant Taylor from This Way to the Egress. I approve you using our music for your video.
Altogether, how long to shoot the movie?
It was 2 weekends and a few pickup
Few
days.
pickup days, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then one special effects.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for the big construction.
Yeah. So it was like about 3 weekends. roughly.
You had a bunch of bad guys on the road, a few squads to maneuver around. We won't say too much about that because things happen. Who were those people? 'Cause I would like to give everyone credit where possible.
It was the aforementioned Keith Dean, who started off as an extra and proved indispensable in a number of areas. Became a mechanical effects guy and weapons advisor. Yeah. There was my friend Craig Jarvis, whom I've known since college, who very gamely showed up and agreed to sweat to death in the bad guy outfits. Sean Rogers and Chip Schaefer, who's another person we worked with a lot.
Some of the bad guys had sort of a Morlock vibe to them in my eyes, so that was a deliberate choice on yours.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wanted them to be faceless, nameless monsters, essentially. You can't see; they're hidden behind masks, and the eye holes are meshed over, so they're not terribly human at all.
Okay, and ultimately you're chasing down the evil professor who is making the fog,
Yes.
and that was
Steve Gualtieri, who was, I just basically told him be a shark, so he was just very flat, affectless, and creepy.
yes.
He did a great job with that.
Okay, so you had your shooting days. How many post-production days?
Years. It actually, we were done with the majority of the post within, let's say we wrapped in June, and we were done with the majority of the post by October. And what killed us was those visual effect shots. Like I said, for a long time it was just Kevin laboring away and trying to make time between his other jobs, and we just got crushed. And
Well, we have a lot of special effects.
Yeah, it is.
Kevin, I remember him mentioning that it's comparable to the first Jurassic Park, like the number of shots.
Yeah.
So
There's
just
a-
to give you an idea.
There's
Yeah.
a lot happening. There's a lot
Yeah.
happening. Now you had a Kickstarter campaign,
We did.
and you were kickstarting to raise money in part for the special effects, but also for the advertising
It was pretty much just to handle the publicity side of things and do things like, come here and enter film festivals
Okay.
and create merch for ourselves and things like that.
Okay. And how's you release a film and talk about that?
Well, gosh, right now we're at the point where we're going to start doing a serious festival push. We've been taking it around to conventions like Dragon Con and World Steam Expo and Steampunk Empire Symposium, various places like that. And we really want to kind of focus on sci-fi and steampunk conventions. So that was a prong in addition to the festivals. So that's where we are right now.
Now, this year on the alternate history track, one of the programs is a steampunk cinema track. Are you showing at that?
We are.
And when is that?
That is at 10:30 p. I'm sorry, it starts at 10 p.m. at the Westin in the International Ballrooms B and C.
Okay, and that's tonight?
That is tonight.
So that's Saturday.
Yes.
I don't even know what day it is now.
Today is Saturday.
Well, I know today's Saturday, but it's September, August... September 2nd.
Yeah.
Saturday, September 2nd at the Westin.
Or is it the
we get
first?
to see this tonight.
September 1st.
September 1st. Just kidding.
I was
September 1st. I was good.
As this is rolling out, what are you looking at next?
I would really actually like to do this as a series, a television series. I'd like to do kind of a steampunk, dieselpunk band of brothers, essentially. So I'm working on scripts for a few episodes, and we're going to see if we can leverage this into a series.
Okay. Does this pick up after the movie? Because there's a lot of things that happen at the end of the movie that I cannot talk about.
Right. No, this is going to be more of a proof of concept. It's
Okay.
not canonical for the what we're planning for the series. The series
So
will be
much like a pilot, this shows you many of the characters and a lot of the situation.
Right.
But when we actually get to the show, some people may be coming back, other
Right.
people may not be coming back, depending both on plot and availability.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for the great performance and the great directing. And you wrote it, so thank you.
Co-wrote.
Co-wrote. Oh, who was your...
Nancy and Alderinger did a great job kind of keeping me honest.
Nancy, thank you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope to see more. I hope it goes forward. You have been watching Professor Altadasian's Visuotronic Audiographic Steampunk Archive. For more information about DragonCon, go to dragoncon.org. Special thanks to the Alternate History fan track found at alternatehistory.dragoncon.org. Very special thanks to Mike Zawacki and Stevie Robinson. For more information about the Wars of Other Men, go to thewarsofothermen.com. Incidental music accidentally provided by This Way to the Egress, found at thiswaytotheegress.com. Our theme music, The Visuotronic Blues, was composed and performed by Alex White at thegearheart.com. Our animated graphics were created by John Adams of Blithwolf Studios. Please stay tuned as the experiment continues.